Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Thursday edition of the We Won Houston podcast. I am Clayton Anderson, your host. I also cover the Houston Texans for Torah Times of the Fansided Network. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special episode, very near and dear to my heart. So, we have someone here who not only is an aspiring podcaster themselves, but a Swiss Army knife of an individual. I've got to know this man. I do not think it is by accident. I do think that God has brought us together for a reason to do this. We're going to get into that later. But aspiring podcaster, coach, golf enthusiast, owner of a TJH jersey right there in the back. For the sake of today's episode, not just a realtor, but Coach Ryan McGinnis. Coach, how you doing, man?
Hey, Clay, thanks for being or letting me be here. Just an honor. Everything you said is what we're doing here, trying to bring Christ out for these kids. And yeah, that's a TJH jersey.
Right. So real quick. So I brought that up in his intro because I told him off stream. I said, any man, of course, he's a Texans fan, by the way. I said, any man who on purpose has a clean TJH jersey hanging up in his sports decor behind him is valid. Right. So I will hear no slander here. Of course, by the way, for those who don't know, TJ Yates is a mythical figure of sorts in the city of Houston. He actually was the first quarterback to win a playoff game for the city of Houston for the Texans. So, yeah, and he has playoff success. One of those guys who just look, if the Texans ever win a Super Bowl in short order, TJ Yates better be a part of that parade somewhere. So that's all I got to say about that. But Ryan, how you doing, man? How you feeling today?
Feeling great. Feeling great. Really wonderful to be here. Appreciate you, Clay. You run a great podcast. The Texans are one of my favorite things to watch. So I'll be looking forward to talking football with you.
Awesome, man. So let's get into that real quick. So let people know, those who are new to you, right? So we met on TikTok, right? I know TikTok, I know. But we met on TikTok via instant, with the message platform. I'm sorry. He reached out. I'm glad he did, and we just started talking. Right, genuine guy, just a wealth of information. So Ryan, really quickly, for those who don't know you, can you give them your background in sports, just who you are as a person, the different life experiences you've gone through?
Absolutely. So, always loved sports. Got into coaching early on. Ended up at College Station and heading up their youth program there for basketball. Did some football as well, and just kind of always stayed around it. Of course, I got a little older. Ended up in the hospitality business with golf clubs and country clubs. Spent a couple decades there. Wonderful experience. Again, there's a lot of coaches that can go on the golfing side as well. Even though most of it was to help me because I was a terrible golfer for 30 years. But anyhow, sports was always really a passion of mine. No matter what I was doing, I was trying to coach and help out the kids wherever I could. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Now I've been doing real estate since 2015. That helps me do a lot of the coaching as well. Just this last year, coached my son's middle school defensive side and then the varsity side as well. Then did basketball for ladies varsity and soccer boys varsity. So got really a lot of experience recently in what the kids are doing in the schools. So that was
Mm.
fun.
Okay, awesome, man. No, like I said, wealth of experience and knowledge here. So, real quick, with TJ Yates back there, let's talk about that. So, you're a Texans fan, obviously, right? So, can you document for us how did that happen?
Well, I mean, I'm an Oilers fan. Grew up here watching the
Mm.
Oilers back in the day. So, when they left, that was tough. Texans came around, won their first game against the Cowboys, which I was like, wow. So they were like 14-point dogs. It was the greatest thing ever. Um, well, eventually they made the playoffs, and this guy was a big part of it. I was watching it in 2012. This is around Christmas time, playing the Bengals, I believe, and just got excited and was like, man, I want a TJ Yates jersey. And my wife, girlfriend at the time, bought me a TJ Yates jersey. It's probably why I married her. Might be the only guy that has a authentic TJ Yates jersey. Gave it to my buddy who went to playoffs a couple weeks later, and
Mm.
he got to wear it. So
Yeah.
he was like the king of the castle.
Hmm. Absolutely. So, what you're saying is not only are you an OG Houston fan, but you did not turn tail and go to the Titan side, right? That's also what I'm hearing because there are some who, when that happened, the split between the Oilers and the Adams family and the city, they went to Tennessee, right? But you stayed. You stayed.
Well, there was, we didn't have a team for a minute there, so I
Mm,
don't know what I did.
you
Eddie
just went
George
black.
was
I don't
Eddie
remember.
George was a part of the Oilers, so I mean, kind of
Mm.
had to cheer for a few of the guys, um, and maybe I cheered for the Cowboys for a little bit just to stay in state.
Oh, oh my goodness, you're doing good, man. You were doing great.
uh, yeah,
Oh,
it was tough,
it'd
man. It
never
was
get that
tough.
bad, right?
But hey,
It'd
look,
never.
man. Now we've got this is probably see that guy. We probably got the best defense to ever play football. So I'm super excited about that.
Mm-hmm,
They were 10th in rushing defense, and we
mm-hmm,
added a plug stopper, which is just going to be ridiculous to watch. What are you going to
mm-hmm,
do now? What are you going to do now? You got 3 seconds to get rid of the ball, and you're not going to
mm-hmm,
be able to run up the middle anymore. So it's just going to be tough. I get Jalen Knowles going to get a lot of returns, so I'm looking forward to it. And CJ is a fantastic football player. I don't care what anybody says. He had a tough year. This is the first year for the offensive coordinator to ever be an offensive coordinator, and it's TJ's second or offensive coordinator experience. So, I mean, you expected them to be great. None of the play call was ideal for his situations. He couldn't get the ball out quick. Was there no check downs? Did he not have the ability to say, "Hey, coach, I need to, hit a hot route or something," because
mm-hmm,
he was holding on to the ball too long. Look, Brady was awesome because he got rid of the ball. His pre-read, I don't know that CJ had that opportunity last year. He's a very respectful kid. He probably didn't want to call out audibles. He wanted to let the OC run his thing. So, I think we need to just relax for a minute on the CJ and see what happens this year. What they're doing now is they're creating an offensive line to run up the middle. That's what they're doing. They got
mm-hmm,
the guard, the rookie guard. He's playing center. They're just going to run up the middle, and Montgomery's going to run up the middle. That's what they're planning on doing. So play
mm-hmm,
action is going to be the game. I think it's going to be a totally different offense, and all
mm-hmm.
they got to do is be 12th or better in offense, and they're going to win the whole thing by a lot.
Okay, dumping analysis early. Well, I mean, hey, why wait, right? So you you basically got ahead of some of my segues, but yeah, man. So
Bad.
no, you're good. Hey, man, you good. We're here. But no, you sound like an OC. So yeah, that before we got to there with this, I was actually going to pull this for you. So just had Jonathan Alexander, great guy, great writing. Check him out with the Houston Chronicle. He was on yesterday, and I brought up the fact that he had a piece with Nick Cayley where he interviewed him, and one of the things that Cayley and John talked about was how the offense started off slow, right, and Cayley taking ownership of that fact. And like you said, a lot of it was really said by Cayley first, which was he kind of was square peg and round hole guy for a little bit. He was a little bit overly ambitious, trying things that the personnel just really did not tell him that he should be trying. So but he owned that though, and I'll always respect anybody who can acknowledge what they've done wrong and make adjustments.
Absolutely.
And
I
Jonathan
didn't know that
Alexander,
happened.
oh yeah, no, that he brought it up. So check the piece out. But John brought up a follow up, been saying that you can't find anyone in the Texans organization who will say anything negative about Cayley. One of his strong suits is the fact that he is so malleable. He adjusts his play calling, like he recognizes and he adapts. So, which is good, which is unlike what Slowick did when he was here, which was very rigid, very my way or highway, and that kind of thing. And we saw where that went. Right, an example of some of the porousness of it being the fact that there was a stretch in 2024 where the offense did not score a single second half point for about a month straight. So, we've seen our fair share of poor offensive coordinating, or at least poor collaboration. Cayley at least gives you that. And look, I think his stock is trending more so upward. Do I think they're going to be a top 10 offense in year two of Cayley? I don't know. uh, I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. But like you said, it depends on, okay, you have the personnel. You have at least 5 new O linemen. You got David Montgomery. You got Woody now slotted to RB2, which I think will really unlock a lot of his potential as a pass catcher. You have, of course, your receivers coming back healthy, Tank Dell. You got, Lewis Bond. You have a number of different
Ah,
options that, you can utilize, but it just depends on Cayley and his evolution as a play caller. And can he build on what he did last season? So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm not out on Cayley necessarily, but he has to show me, basically. He has to show the city of Houston and the team that, hey, with year two, with more weapons and with more experience, brother, we should be elevating, right? So, especially if we're trying to make the NFL world remember that CJ Stroud has top 10 potential. So there's that. But okay. So the other thing with Ryan here that he brought, I'm sorry, with Coach Ryan, I'm going to show my respect here with Coach, is that he says he's a big fantasy football guy. So not only on the real world side of things, but he's a fantasy guy. So multi-time fantasy champion. Might I ask you, sir, before we kind of dive into it, what is your favorite platform for fantasy football?
Man, so we grew up with our dads calculating it on Tuesday, you know, looking at the spreadsheet, and they would do it themselves.
Mm.
So it's come a long way. Sleeper's probably the best one. They have so many
Mm.
options, but I've done all of them. ESPN, not as good as Sleeper, I wouldn't think. We're on the longest one I've been on is RT Sports, which is just
Mhm.
terrible.
Mhm.
But but we've kept all these stats for so long. It'd be nice if they would integrate things and you could jump over another platform and keep all your archive of information, because that stuff's important. You want to know
Mhm.
what these guys are drafting every year, how they're doing it. You want to
Mhm.
look at that archive and see, their patterns. So, we've not left that one. But yes, fantasy football. It's look. This is Dungeons and Dragons for men. It really
Mhm.
is. It's childish, but it's a lot of fun. And it's not real life, but it feels like it. I want to
Mhm.
win championships just like Tom Brady does. I think I think it's funny that people take it as serious as I do. But listen, these bragging rights are wonderful. It's a wonderful way to have fun.
Mhm.
So some tips. You want some tips? Is that what you're asking about?
Oh no, we'll get there. We'll get there. No, so hold on to those. We'll get there. Oh no, because people look, they're gonna want to know because again, I'm in a sleeper league right now, keepers league, with some guys. I've been making some trades, offering some trades, so I need to hear what you got. So absolutely, I do take it serious because look, man, I know there's been plenty of Sunday where it's just the feeling, for example, of like when your team is the points leader for the week and you're dominating everybody and you're watching your guy. I remember vividly a couple years ago, I had Amon Ross St. Brown on my team and he had went nuclear. I forgot the game, but I was like, go, go, go. And I'm just
Mm-mm.
looking at my PPR points go up. Like, yeah, yes, sir. So I'm feeling smart. Anyway, but no, man. So to go
There
along
you
with
go.
your point, yeah, yeah, man, I got you. So to go along with your point, you mentioned Sleeper number one. So this is via Google, just quick Google search. Sleeper says the top choice for Dynasty Keeper and mobile league, mobile first leagues. You got Yahoo Fantasy is second, says the premier platform for traditional redraft leagues. ESPN is third, and then My Fantasy League would be fourth on this list. So again, very
I
subjective,
don't know
but
that last one.
basically, right. So basically, you hit the nail on the head. So that's kind of where the fantasy world is right now. Oh, but absolutely, especially in the world of sports betting. I mean, the table's already been set for this kind of thing, and fantasy is a big economy, nonetheless. So you're not wrong. Now let's get to the tips. So here we go, man. What fantasy tips do you have?
Well, look, I think rule number one is just you need to know the rules. You need to know the scoring rules. Every
Mm,
league is going to be different, especially with the sleeper. That's the number one. They've got the most things you can change. You need to go and look at the rules. And then not only do you need to look at the rules, sometimes you need to look at last year's points, which will give you the rule setup and it'll give you the way that those new rules on this league are going to rule or going to give you the points for this current year. So, for instance, there is return yards that some leagues will do, and those aren't going to show up in projections. So you're going to have to go to last year's and see how many return yards and how many, like a Rashid Shaheed in Seattle got. And he was the top 8 wide receiver because he got so many yards on the return. These things you need to
mm,
know. So go
mm,
look at the rules. That's number one. So when you know the rules, you can draft accordingly. And then you can
mm,
let players slide, like I did in a draft that had these ridiculous return yards that I'm taking advantage of. So I let wide receivers slide, and I got a Mike Evans really late,
mm,
who can start for me. And then I got the punt return specialist like the Jalen Knoll, who's going to give me top 12 results because every time you play the Texans, you're going to have to punt the ball, and somebody's going to have to return it.
mm,
So. Nolan's
Mm,
going to be the one.
that's a
So
mic drop. Mm,
just tips like that would be smart. And there's all kinds of value out there. You don't draft players based on your heart. Look,
mm,
I'm the worst one. I'm going to have 2 or 3 Texans on my team. It's going to be terrible. I'm going to draft the Texans defense in the 5th round. I don't care. Hey, everybody in the league, if you want the defense, go get them in the 4 previous rounds because they're coming on my team in the
mm.
5th round. Not going to take a punter or, I'm sorry, a kicker ever. Just don't take a kicker. Just take it the last pick. Those, those are some good rules. Know the
Okay.
rules, know the
Oh,
scoring,
I
and
need a
take the
notebook.
punter
Hold
or
on.
kicker last.
I need a
And
notebook.
then
Hold on. Wait.
find the value. Find the value. There's going to be value out there in every position, and that's where you're going to win the league. Find the value, and look, have fun. Maybe take a player or two on your favorite team, but don't take too many.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. That's some good
And
information. I'm
listen,
definitely.
listen. The season doesn't end after the draft.
Mm,
Most of the time, like 70% of the time, the teams that make the playoffs are the ones that continue to work the waiver wire throughout the season. So
absolutely.
be working that.
Absolutely. Yes. That, hey, man, yeah, you get those notifications at 3 a.m. So and so just offered a guy for trade. Like, bro, go to sleep. Like, stop. So, but to add a supplement to what you just said, so I pulled this also. Again, this is layman stuff. I mean, you got all the next level stuff, but I mean, look, here's some round one mock draft what ideas, or again, just the projected guys, right? Like the ones you look for. You got Jamar Gibbs at one, Bijan, Jamar, Puka, Jason, McCaffrey, JT, Amon Ra, CD, Devon A. Chan, Gene T, and James Cook. So again, those are your layup picks. Those are not like, oh my gosh, NFL scout. No, those are your layups. Like those are, don't overthink the draft process. If I can add any tip of my own, it's just don't overthink it, right? Like if you are picking 1 through 5, make a 1 through 5 selection, but just don't let it be a quarterback. Don't be that person. It don't.
So you saw that. I mean, was that 14 players there, 12 players? Look, there wasn't a quarterback there. It's not realistic. So play super flex leagues. It's a totally different game. You got 2 quarterbacks that you can start. There's, 32 to 36 quarterbacks that are going to be drafted. Then it makes the position valuable. It makes it more realistic. Why would you have 14 players and not one quarterback? It's silly.
Mm,
So
mhm,
have a little more fun and add that super flex position or a 2 quarterback position. That's the way to play fantasy football.
mm. Hey, there you go. Not just opinion. That's basically proven fact right now. That's right. You're talking to a champ. You better recognize back there. This man has a TJ Yates jersey. Better know who you're talking to.
But
But no,
those
man.
stats that you
So,
saw there, they're all PPR,
mhm,
single quarterback stats. That's whatever the main games are. But those aren't as fun. It's not as realistic. Quarterbacks are very important in the NFL. They
mhm,
should be very important in your fantasy football league.
mm. Shots fired. There you go. All right. Well, with that said, so I wanted to switch gears for a second. So, we can talk football all day. We can talk fantasy all day. We can talk golf. We can talk hospitality, a lot of stuff. But there's a very important reason why we're gathered here today. Man, it sounded like a wedding just now, but no. Look, we're here for a very important reason. So another reason why Brian reached out to me, and I'm thankful that he did. He brought up the fact that he's working on a very important project, a children's based nonprofit. So Ryan, I'm going to allow you to kind of lay the foundation of that. I have some clips. I got some stuff that you sent me that we're going to talk about pertaining to the issue that we notice in the world of children's youth sports. But give us a small taste as to the nonprofit that you brought up with me and what you're trying to do with it.
Well, I think the first most important thing that we need to be doing out there as coaches and leaders, men especially, is passing on Jesus Christ to the kids. It's extremely important. They need to have a relationship with Christ. Life is hard, sports are hard. It can get overwhelming, and all you need to do is just relax and pray. So that's the first most important thing that we want to do with our charity, Christian Coaching Athletics. Started a couple months ago. We're trying to raise money. We're trying to get out there and do some camps and clinics. We've got some donations rolling in. Facilities cost some money. Everybody that's coaching, they're either veterans or current coaches as well. And we're all just doing this out of the love of coaching and passing on Jesus Christ. The kids are suffering in the sports market because it's become such a huge profit
Mm-hmm.
driven deal. And there's a lot of kids that don't have the ability to do that. I was one growing up, um, but now it's just out of hand. It costs a couple $1,000s for some of these
Mm-hmm.
uh, camps, or AAU leagues and things like that. So we're trying to deliver the same kind of training to these kids free of charge. People can make donations. If you've got one kid that wants to come out, I'll be there. You don't have to donate anything. I'll donate 1 hour of my time. Of course, we're going to set up events where people can come and things like that, and there'll be a lot more. But we're really just trying to do this out of the love uh, of coaching and delivering Christ to these kids.
Amen. Amen. Absolutely. No, and I took this seriously. I mentioned early in the pod that I do not believe in coincidences, right? I do believe this was, sovereignly appointed. So I definitely. And the funny thing is, Ryan, and I told you this in messaging, that I was actually looking for something like this because of a project that I was working on. A far less important, a far more trivial, borderline stupid idea, right? But then
But these
you
aren't, man. These aren't stupid ideas, man.
Oh, yeah, no, I got you. Oh no, we'll get there. Trust me, we'll
Sorry.
get there. Oh no, we'll get there. But no, man. So, but then Ryan comes along, right? I believe he's led by God, and we are having a conversation, and he just brings up the nonprofit, and then he just gives me this information that I was ignorant to, that I'm going to show it a little bit. And what's funny is, especially after the results of the, I don't know if you watched the World Cup or not, but the results of the U.S. men's national team and them falling short, unfortunately, I want to say in the round of 16 against Belgium. Um, Again, another knockout situation where, and it was funny because you had the whole Trump controversy and him making a phone call to get a guy back on the field after the red card, and for you to still basically get blown out in the very next game. And immediately after that, uh, all across social media, people lost their minds talking about this very issue, children's sports, and well, there's a reason why U.S. can't go any farther because we're not developing kids at an early age, and that's basically what you're saying, which is we're not, for lesser reasons, but we're not developing children at a young age. We're not leading them properly. Like these mechanisms that other countries are gifting these kids early on in their threes and fours and fives, like we're making it so difficult and arduous for a lot of just regular families to take part, that for something like a World Cup, for national, whatever the case may be, our children slash our young adults are unprepared, or at least not as equipped as they could be based off this infrastructure. So we'll just get right into it. So I'm going to use the graphics that you sent me. So starting off with this one, right? This is from Girl Father.
Yeah.
Said U.S. soccer won't be good until you stop charging little kids thousands to play travel ball. You're not getting the best athletes into soccer that way. It's the same crowd as lacrosse and hockey at this point. So that was the first one. Second one was this one. As a soccer dad with a son in the youth program of an MLS team, I see it firsthand. U.S. soccer is run like a pure revenue business with talent development as an afterthought. Without fixing the infrastructure and incentives, we'll never build a system that can compete for a World Cup. Right, so that's just the first two right there off top. Then the third one right here. Why can't the USA have a dominant soccer team? Look how much it costs to play under nine soccer for my local team. My parents didn't pay even 10% of this in total for 8 years of me playing as a kid in Ireland. So I'm going to blow this up so that I can see, but I'm going to read it. So if you look at that, club dues start at $400, right, in installment plan one. Top out at $475. Underneath that, in installment plan two, at acceptance $400, and then by October it's $712, right? So that is crippling, right? Like that, people got to understand this. Like in today's time when no one has money, that is crippling. Ryan, I don't know if you have something you want to add on to that.
Well, I mean, absolutely. And to circle back to what you said, man, I prayed a lot that somebody could help me do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never had a charity before. And look, all we're really doing is giving our time.
Mm,
And same thing that you just pointed out there. Yeah, again, there's facilities that you have to rent. There's equipment that comes along with it, but it's not a whole lot of money, man. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you need to pay some coaches to be there, thankfully, my coaches and I are working for free because we love this, and that's what it's got to be about, man. That it's got to, the youth sports program has to be about love of the
Mm-hmm.
game and improving the kids' abilities, not about
Mm-hmm.
profit. Not about profit. That's what it has to be. It's not going to work. So that's what we're trying to do here. Just removing all that negativity and just terrible feelings like because I can't do it, I can't afford it. I have to ask my mom. She's going to say no. And nah, man, come on, let's go. You want to run some routes? We can run some routes. You want to shoot some hoops? I'll rebound for you. Whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
that easy. And hopefully this thing can get some support behind it. That's why you came along. And look, I was reaching out to Tim Tebow and all kinds of people, man, and somebody intercepted it and said she was one of his representatives, and I think I was going to having to pay money to talk to Tebow. So it was like, what's going on here? And thankfully, somebody like you with the true heart and the love that I'm talking about came along. So, amen.
No, amen. Absolutely, brother. Yeah, you got to watch out. Like, real quick, quick scam alert. So, full disclosure, listen, Trayvon Smith, right? I don't know if you watch this or not. Hey, what's up? If you do, if you don't, and somebody close to Trayvon watches this, please send this to him. So apparently, I was almost, got by the same thing. I thought I was talking to Trayvon Smith, and it was somebody who claimed to be his agent or his representation, and they said, "Yeah, man, no, we can do something. We can talk." But do you have what they say, like an exclusive fan card or something like that? Something. I said, what is that? What is a fan card? Well, no, basically it's it's how you get access and communication, all this stuff, and I'll let you know about it. So I Google searched it, and basically it's one of these newer scams where you have people who are impersonating either famous people or representatives of notable people who are basically, as you say, intercepting communication as a means of saying, hey, pay for this phony baloney, access card, if you will, or entryway, and then you'll be able to talk to them and do this and do that, all the while they're pocketing the money. So even in the sports industry, you just watch out for the scam. So Trayvon Smith, if you're listening, there's somebody impersonating you or impersonating your representation. So just be on the lookout for that. So letting you know. So there you go. And there's a video here, also off of TikTok, of the graphics that you sent me. And here, let's listen to it
This
quick.
$50 billion youth sports industry that takes advantage of parents wanting what's best for their kid and prioritizes meaningless trophies over development is not working. And it's not just a soccer issue. If you have an 8-year-old who's good at soccer, basketball, or baseball, your options are either to put them in a cheap town league where they get zero coaching and real competition, or pay thousands of dollars a year to a travel club. This means that only athletes from rich families have a chance to get the development they need to become a professional. But in every sport, most athletes traditionally came from poor families where sports was the only way out. This is why America has never had a good soccer team, because 80% of the market cannot afford to participate and get the training, development, and competition they need to become great. And it is also why we are seeing fewer and fewer American basketball and baseball players in the pros, because expensive AAU basketball and travel baseball teams are doing the same thing as club soccer teams. Parents are always going to do what's best for their kids, but capitalism isn't going away either. So we are only going to have fewer great American athletes until we go back to when sports was a public good and not one ginormous money grab.
Yeah.
I mean, that nails it, right? I mean, and that's what it is. And look, I mean, look, God bless the youth industry out there they're making a dime, and that's okay. I'm not trying to bang on anybody. I get it. This is a capitalist country. But it's gotten out of hand, guys. It's gotten out of hand. We're not doing what's
Mm,
best for the kids. And all these come out. I think Derek Fisher's got something that he's been working on, same kind of idea. And there's a few commercials out there. The NFL they give their players camp money.
mm,
And these guys are putting on camps. They're still charging the kids $250 for the camp or whatever when it's supposed to
mm.
be free. So look, we just need to start doing what's right for the kids because they're the ones that are going to be leading us one day. And we need to create leaders and men that know Jesus, most importantly. But we don't need to be doing all this stuff. We don't need to be making millions of dollars, right? We just don't.
Yeah.
Do it out of the love. The problem is that there's not enough love out there
Mm.
coaching or leading these camps. It's greed.
Sure. No, and look, let me try to get out in front of this. So there are going to be some who sadly will listen to this section of the podcast and will think that, things cost and you can't do this for. Look, we understand, we get it. Like Ryan and myself, we're not saying that everything should be handed out free. We understand things cost. We understand that, employees of these sports organizations, they need a living wage too. We understand their facilities cost. We understand lights and all this stuff. We get it. But and also throw in NIL, right? Like the entire thing, whether you're talking NCAA, NIL, youth sports, AAU, all these circuits. What we're saying is holistically, in a lot of ways, it's become much more predatory than mutually beneficial, right? It's somebody always looking to get over or to get the most out of the deal, and really it's killing sport as we know it, right? Like it's, but as Ryan said, most important thing is love of Christ, being showed, through these avenues, through these vehicles, right? But then secondarily, the topic of sport, the fact that now the attention is shifted from building skills, building foundations, reaction time, and all this stuff, and bodily development, health training, all these things that are good and healthy. Now it's just money, money, money. It's trying to get kids just in position enough to angle their way towards a six-figure deal out of high school or in college and something like that, or put money in the pockets of those who are facilitating. And it's really not about sport as an art form. It's not about developing children, developing men, developing young ladies, developing coaches, developing leaders of the future. It's somebody just wanting some kind of monetary gain. Not everybody, but that's the culture. And it's sad because, again, for me as a fan of sport, as somebody who I appreciated PE. I grew up as as an athlete. I've done gymnastics, I've done track. I tried football till I got hit once and I stopped. But still, like as somebody who admires sport for an art form, as a means of communication and relationship, like the sport that we have known growing up, that is a thing of the past. That is done. And I don't know if you can put that, so to speak, genie back in the bottle, but I do think that with enough people who care enough about what we're talking about, you can make a dent or make an impact in your own way, in your community, in your household, in your neighborhood, to where some kids have a chance that otherwise would not. Right. So that's kind of what we're saying. So, and to kind of angle towards the wrap up here. So, what are we going to do about this situation? How are we going to help here? So, the funny thing is, there was a bet that I had already made with Brandon Ray, who, excuse me, who along with me is of the fan sided network with the Buffalo Down section. And here's the bet that we made about the Buffalo Bills and Houston Texans for week one and how it relates to Ryan and myself in this endeavor here.
Over time. And who knows, maybe since I got the Bills winning, obviously, and you got the Texans winning, we might have to do, loser goes through a table type of bet. We might just have to do that. So,
I'm down, man. I'll do it. Listen, I was the kid. Look, fun fact, right? So I actually used to backyard wrestle, right? Don't ask me why. That's just what we did. I was that kid when they had the black placard that says "Do not try at home." They were talking to me. Okay, so I have no aversions to jumping through a table if you want to do that. So I'm more than willing. If the Buffalo, look, I'll put it down right now. Money on the table. If the Buffalo
right.
Bills, if the Buffalo Bills beat the Houston Texans in Week 1, I will find a white table. I will record myself going through said table, and I will send it to you. All right. So, like I said, then I will say it again. My money's on the table. It never left. If the Houston Texans were not successful in week 1, even though I think they will, but for the sake of this conversation, if the Texans drop game 1 against the Buffalo Bills, I have agreed to put myself through a table, right? So, how do the two connect? So, how I was thinking of it is this: I wanted to collaborate with Ryan and do a fundraiser of sorts where maybe something like based off of the amount of donations we get, maybe that might alter the stakes a bit of how it would look. Maybe, and I'm gonna go into my wrestling bag for a second. So I'm gonna nerd out for a second. So give me a second. So basically, let's say for example, if we get $100 a donation, right? Maybe you get a seated leg drop kind of thing, right? To use a wrestling term. Let's say $200. Let's say you might get a 450. I don't know. If we get $300, you might get a shooting star, right? I might throw a doll on there, and I might give him a Randy Savage off a ladder type stuff. Like the things I've thought about, Ryan, are unhealthy. It's not good, but it's in good fun. It's in good fun. But now I wanted to attach it to something meaningful, and I couldn't have asked for a better avenue than this right here. So this is something that I would love to do. Look, if it goes well enough, heck, even if the Texans might win, I still might do it anyway, just because of the fundraising element, and we really want to bless the kids. So either or, I might end up doing it anyway. But that's kind of what it is. So as an attachment to the bet that I made with Brandon Ray, the Buffalo Down. I want this to be a fundraiser where any proceeds will go towards Christian Coaching Athletics, that will go towards Ryan's nonprofit. And there are financial mechanisms in place. There's fidelity. There are ethics here. This is not just some phony baloney thing. Like, it's not a scam. Like, this is real. And every proceed will go towards this endeavor to make sure that these kids have a fair shot in our community. So there you go.
Amen.
Yep.
Hey, look, I'll throw my elbow in the ring. Get me a table. I don't know what it's worth, but maybe two of us can jump through some tables together.
Oh my goodness. So yeah,
I'm
you heard it
50.
here
I'm
first.
50 though, but I still got it. I still got it.
I still got it. So you can be the person, to hold the bottom of the ladder, right? So in WWE and in wrestling, like, that's kind of the thing. They'll hold it to stabilize it, right? It's a good visual. So we can set that up. But no, absolutely. So listen, I'm excited for this. I really am. I'm excited for the NFL season to get going. But I'm just as much, really more so excited at the opportunity that God has presented for you and I and for these youth. So. No, we don't have to wait until week 1 with Texans Buffalo Bills. You can donate now. You can help Ryan and Christian Coaching Athletics with your generosity. So Ryan, please take a moment, tell people where can they send any resources, tips, or donations your way.
Thank you, Clay. Appreciate that. You can donate at christiancoachingathletics.org. You can go on the website there, take a little look around. There is a donate button on there. If you'd like to donate via Zelle, we don't get charged their percentage. That would probably be better. It's christiancoachingathletics@gmail.com. And I believe everything over $250 is tax write-offable. I'm new to this, but that's what they tell me. And if you want to donate your time or any equipment, things like that, please send me an email, and I'll be glad to reach out and talk to you about that. We're still looking for equipment, facilities. If you want to donate, a few hours a week for us, that would be awesome for one of these camps. Even just a couple hours in the evenings would be great. Just anything. Coaches, if you're wanting to coach, if you're a young aspiring coach, or if even a veteran coach, and you just want to come out and do the right thing and reach some kids, talk about Christ, and give them some great free coaching drills and whatnot to work on, please, reach out to us, send us an email.
Awesome. So this has been Ryan, the Realtor McGinnis, on TikTok. Again, lovely individual. I love meeting him and learning more about him in real time on this pod. I am Clayton with Torah Times of the Fansided Network. Once again, he represents Christian Coaching Athletics. Please give it your time and consideration. Give it your thought. It's a beautiful thing to honor God by way of helping out the youth in our community, helping bridge that gap, from the old generation to the new. Of course, we're Texans fans, so you will see more news and updates as they come along. And no, Ryan, listen, man, I would love to have you back on, if for nothing else. I know there's a fantasy football need in this world right now. A lot of people need your guidance and your wealth of experience. So I'd love to keep having you on throughout the season. So yeah, man, I really look forward to it, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Clayton, this was a pleasure, man. I appreciate it. Anytime.
Yeah. Hey, I look forward to it, man. And bring that jersey with you.